The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it is possible to lose principal and interest when investing in securities. No strategy can guarantee a profit or prevent a loss. The views expressed represent the personal opinions of the presenter or featured guests, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Any opinions or forecasting statements are subject to change at any time and without notice. John Cyndia is an investment advisor representative of, and advisory services are offered through USA Financial Securities Corporation, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Life Stages Advisory is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Life Stages Advisory, Dean or Remington, or any guest we have are not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Welcome to episode 73 of WTF, Wealth, Tax, and Finances. I'm your host, John Cyndia, certified public accountant and personal financial specialist. Dean and Remington are here today.
Hello.
Welcome back, John.
Well,
oh, wait, this is your show.
Oh, that's right.
Glad to be on.
I'm here. Yes, we're all three here, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
What we're going to do today is Dean had a couple questions about some debt consolidation. So when is it good to do so? What is it? How do you do it? What do you have to watch out for? And I thought we'd sort of interject with the debt consolidation a little bit more on the interest rate scope and the refinancing, and work that into whether or not you should pay down on your house faster or into some retirement savings. So it sort of goes into full circle, because if you can save money on your debt restructuring, then you've got more money to either invest or put down in a house. And my option is to don't put down on a house, but put it into your retirement savings. And hopefully we'll be able to justify that by the end of this episode. So what specifically was your question as far as debt reduction that you'd like to have answered? And then we'll start it off.
Yeah, so I think, a lot of people, they have a decent amount of credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
And as most people know, the interest rates for credit cards are typically very high, usually in the 20%, just depending on the type of credit card you have.
Right.
So, what I was thinking is, myself, I do have a decent amount of credit card debt. What could I do with that debt to consolidate it? Can I get a better interest rate by consolidate? Like, so say I have $3,500 on this credit card, $2,500 on this one, like $1,500 on this card. They're all over 20% interest rates.
Okay.
What could I do to consolidate that? Should I put it into another credit card? Should I get a personal loan? Like, what can I do to kind of, move that debt around and maybe either, I don't even know, cut my interest rate in half, cut it in a quarter, or whatever, just at the very least, take a little chunk off of what I'm going to be paying the bank back.
Okay. First of all, on the credit card, yeah, they're anywhere from about 19. Sometimes you can get them 18%, whatever. But for the most part, they're going to be in the low 20s to high 29.99.
Right. Yeah.
Basically 30%. And it's usually 1 or 2% of what the balance is. So they've got that to the point where it's going to take you between 13 and could be close to 20 years to pay that off if you pay the minimums, because of the interest rate and the percentage that they have you actually paying down on. So you've got to pay more than that. But still, even if you say if your minimum payment's $100 and you pay $300 and you've got a $5,000 balance, $4,700 of that's still going to have that 30% interest rate.
Right.
On that. So when you look at 30%, that's on an annual basis. So if you got $5,000, that's $1,500 worth of interest. And, you're looking at $125 a month off of that. And if you're paying $200, you're only getting about $75 down off of that, off of that.
You're paying the bank.
Card.
You're paying the bank $125 a month
into the interest and stuff. So It's going to go down very, very slowly. And so I guess there's a couple of things. You first have to have a credit score of at least 670 or more in order to get any type of decent rate. If you get something less than that, then you're going to, it's not that you couldn't consolidate less than that, but you're going to have to go to some different types of lenders that are going to lend to someone with a lower credit score. And not saying you couldn't get it. You could get somebody to, redo that loan structure on those credit cards, probably as low as 600 or maybe even into the fives. But you're having to look at it from a standpoint of, what is a good loan percentage with the interest rates so low right now. You're looking at home mortgages, 30 years is down to 2.5, 2.75 in some cases. 15 years, might be that or less. So if you start looking at it like 3%, that's not going to happen because those are mortgages on a long-term base. So if you look at a 5 to 7 year personal loan, usually the personal loans are non-collateralized. Okay, so you don't really have anything attached to those, so they're unsecured, as are the credit cards. So, you may look at something about 8 to 10, 12% on something like that. If you look at a secured loan, you're going to have a lower interest rate on that because they're going to look at some security. Now, I know you've got some cars and things like that. You could utilize one of your cars, to have that collateralized and have them use that as
basically
security.
Saying if I don't pay off that debt,
if you don't pay it off or you default or for some reason they take your car, But but do you have any reason to
risky?
Well, do you have any reason to think you wouldn't be paying that off?
No, not necessarily. So let me ask this: so, if you can get these, a 5 to 7 year personal loan on a decent interest rate, I'm not even talking good because that's still a heavy high interest rate in my opinion. Can you pay them off early? Is it depend on the bank?
No, usually, and here's the other thing: you're going to have to shop around. Because there are going to be different rates, there's going to be different terms, there's going to be, you want to look at something, if you can pay it off, there's no penalties for paying it off early, okay? A lot of these will have a situation that, the penalty for paying it off early is just about as bad as some of the interest rates,
Right.
So what you want to do is just make sure that you don't have any stipulations in there that's going to, hurt you from that standpoint. And, you were talking about, possibly moving it to a zero interest credit card. I've known a lot of people that have done that because it could be 6 months, 12 months, maybe 18 months. And they're saying, well, I have zero interest rate for that period of time. I should be able to pay that off. Well, if you're not structured, not making the payments, and you're still making minimums, you're going to save some interest. But what you have to watch out for is that there is normally a one-time fee to transfer, and I've seen anywhere from 2 to 5%. So if you've got say $7,000, 5%, you're looking at a $350 fee just to transfer. So that's still going to be less than a 30% interest for a period of time, but you're going to have a one-time fee to do that. So it is going to cost you something. Okay.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I've thought about is if you're going to transfer that money, so say you have $1,200 and you have 12 months, and you transfer that to a zero interest card that you have for 12 months, you need to pay $120 a month to pay it off in time. If you can't do that, and you have to pay a fee, like what you're saying, kind of wasting your time there. Like if you're going to transfer that $7,000 debt, to a zero interest card, but make minimums on it, you wasted your time because you had the fee to transfer it over. Well, not saying that every card has a fee, but
right, and that's the thing. You have to sort of watch exactly what it is that you're trying to do, because there's some people that'll restructure their debts and then not pay those debts off and use that for something else. Maybe they turn around and put the down payment on another car, or they might buy some furniture or some stuff for the house.
Or I could even think, not that this is something that I would do specifically, but so when you get a personal loan, like you go to a bank or wherever you go and get the personal loan, and they pay off your credit card debt, and then you owe them the money. So now your cards are all zeroed out. What's stopping me from going to use them?
Well, sometimes they'll make you close them.
Really?
Sometimes they'll have you close them. To make sure you're not going to go back. The credit counseling sides will probably do that. Some of the other ones may do it. I mean, they requested it sometimes. It could be in there in the stipulations. It's like, you got to get rid of these credit cards if we're going to do this, especially if it's going to be at a higher interest rate anyway. Other times there's probably not anything. If they don't take those back, some of them don't care. And they turn around and say, okay, well, some of them will pay that debt off for you, and then you pay them. Other ones could turn around and just give you the check, and if you don't pay it off, well, it's not their problem.
Yeah, if I spend the check on food, groceries, and entertainment,
exactly.
What are they gonna do?
But a lot of the times they're gonna want something collateralized on there too.
Right.
So there again, you're going back to the car. If you got savings, maybe you got $10,000 CD, or you got $10,000 sitting in a savings account, they could turn around and attach that too. You could use that as collateral. Now, if you've got something from that standpoint, I've said, you're looking at a lot better rates. They're still going to look at a credit score, but if they've got that secured and you can't touch that, that $7,000, well, there's not a whole lot of risk on their part.
I think just from a credit standpoint, like a learning, for the folks listening to our banter here, if whatever, there's the bank, they want you to close your credit card account, that's going to hurt your credit, because length of credit is important. So,
exactly.
Because like I said, what had stemmed this is I read something online about consolidation of debt, and someone had commented on this post and said something along the lines of, like, they consolidated their debt, and they had to cancel a 20-year credit card they had opened for over 20 years, and it like murdered their credit score from doing that.
Exactly. And that's, you got to take all that into consideration. It's like, if you're getting eaten alive, you may have to take a step backwards to go forward.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
On some of these. And, I've had some people that, if they had questionable, if they're in serious trouble, and I'm talking, 50, 70, 100,000. We had a client that had $250,000 worth of credit card debt. They were making significant income, but, to try and get that done and paid.
That's a significant life change, no matter.
The debtors, they were making so much money that the debtors just eliminated the interest, but made them pay that money back. And that was when they had filed bankruptcy. So they were not able to relieve themselves of that $250,000 debt because they made too much money. So the bankruptcy court said, the best we can do is get rid of the interest.
Oh my gosh.
$50,000 a year for 5 years, they had to pay the $250,000 back. So when you're looking at something from that magnitude, or you're getting back down into it, and you've got, I've seen people go bankrupt for $5,000. Now, to me, that's a little, extreme, a little crazy as far as I'm concerned to go bankrupt. But, different people have, different limits. And, if it's going to get to that point that, it's going to be a difference of mental health versus financial well-being.
If you're going to feel better from it.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're going to feel better from it, no matter the amount of the money.
Yeah. And so I think, if you're looking at $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 worth of credit card debt, that is not that far, out of the realm of possibility. It's, we see it, hopefully we don't see it as much as we used to, but it's still there.
I just can't, I don't make that kind of money, so I can't imagine, even what the minimum payment is on, like a $50,000 debted creded card.
Yeah,
it's got to be thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Even if you've got $50,000, you're looking at $1,500 to probably $2,500, a month that you're looking on that, and when that happens, and the people have either fallen into a situation that maybe they had a job cut, and they were living off that credit card for a while thinking they were going to get another job. That's, that's possible. Because, to get $50,000 in debt, you have had decent credit at some point in time to get $50,000 of credit card debt.
Right. Have that look to that credit line.
Exactly. So, something happened. It wasn't good, but if it's, a burden on them and they're missing payments or they're becoming late or whatever, their credit score is going to drop. Well, at this point, the heck with the credit score. Now it's financial survival. So what is it? Everything's on the table at that point. Bankruptcy could be a possibility. if someone was still making a bunch of money, like that, other client I was talking about could have done, they didn't eliminate any debt. They just eliminated the interest rate. So this case, if somebody did lose a job, I mean, it could be a possibility they would, get that debt eliminated. Okay. And, people say, well, it's going to take 7 years to build it up. Well, it could take 7 years or longer, but, some of the thoughts out there is that, well, now you're a good credit risk. Well, because you don't have any debt. I think you still need to consider exactly what that's going to look like. Chances are, you get a credit card, but it's probably going to have a $500 or $1,000 limit on it.
Yeah, you can't do a whole lot.
You're not going to
with
get
that.
another $50,000 because they think, well, you got all kind of debt now you can expand into. You just went bankrupt. So I think that's sort of nuts. But you could probably get one, but it could even be a prepaid credit card. You're going to have to pay them first and do something.
Yeah,
and
it's
see
just like
what
a
it
savings
is.
account, basically.
Sure. There's all kind of possibilities, but nothing's off the table. You could also look for, home equity line of credit, a HELOC. Those rates down now, I still see them at like 3.5%, 4%. You could get something at that rate. And if that's the case, that's still a very low interest rate.
Better than using a credit card or a
absolutely.
personal loan or anything like that.
So, now you're looking at some major consolidation. And, if you were able to just pay the minimums on something and you weren't getting ahead, you could still utilize those amounts with the interest rate from, say, 30% down to 4%. That's 26% difference. You could get that paid off in fairly quickly if you were still making the minimum payments. So, say you had, $1,000 a month on that and you weren't really making any dents into the credit card, $1,000 a month, assuming you could still handle that type of payment on a 4% HELOC or something, you're gonna get that knocked out pretty quickly,
pretty fast.
So what's your goal? Paying down the debt, saving interest on that, and when you're looking at all the interest rates, it's the same thing as some people say, well, geez, I got this low interest rate, I'm going to pay my house off sooner. It's like, okay, you got to say it's even 3% interest rate. 3% interest rate, where the markets have been, why wouldn't you try the arbitrage? I wouldn't put $1,000 a month extra on the house to get it paid off. You got a $250,000 debt. Yeah, it's going to save you maybe 10 or 12 years on that, but that's 10 or 12 years at the end of the mortgage. You're still going to have to pay it now.
Yeah.
And you're trying to accumulate, retirement, funds and everything else. Put that $1,000 there, let that thing grow, because there is sort of a reverse growth in making that extra payment that the interest rates are going down. The payment doesn't go down, okay? The interest rate doesn't go down because you made an extra payment. The principal's going down, and that's it, but you're not making anything, on that. If you put $1,000 into the market, or you can get something guaranteed even at 4%, and you're at a 3% rate, you got an arbitrage of 1% there. I mean, why would you turn around if you have the opportunity to make something and to turn around, pay something else off and not have that money in your pocket?
Yeah.
Because
it's not doing anything for you.
At some point, the compounding is going to be, is going to make out to where, you're going to have enough money that if at the end of that, you absolutely had to pay that house off and you had $150,000, you're going to have more than enough of that $150,000 out
Sitting
of just
in your
putting that money.
investments. Yeah.
If you had to, you could have $250,000, $300,000, whereas you would have had your house paid off and no money in the bank. I'd rather have $250,000, look at that $150 and go, well, I can pay it off if I want to.
Yeah.
I want to be in control of the money.
And I think that's what you're saying here is a lot of reasons why people do get into debt is they don't consider paying themselves first. They just want to, I want to pay that debt off now. I'm putting $500 on that credit card, $1,000 on that credit card. I'm going to do a double mortgage payment this month. And you have $200 in your savings. So you keep reverting back to using your credit card or taking out a line of credit on your home or whatever. that you're like, well, why did I do that? Why did I pay everything off?
Yeah.
I'm just going to stack it back up again.
Yeah, and you want to get the credit cards down as much, as fast as possible. But if you have an opportunity to refinance those into a lower, into a lower rate, why get hit on the interest rate at the same time while you're, still have those high interest rate credit cards? Transfer it, get it down to a, 4, 5, 6, 7% rate. You can still make those payments that you were making. And then you've got the opportunity to, save the interest on that and then still get that debt paid off.
Yeah, because I'm curious, just thinking out loud of, what I could do with my debt. Could I, even if I maintain the similar monthly payment, if I consolidated, I could pay that off way quicker than the 35 years that they'll tell me I can pay it off.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And I think, like I say, if you've got enough in a savings plan or a savings account to, collateralize that, a lot of the local credit unions, the smaller local banks, a lot of the times they'll have you have a better opportunity to do something on a smaller scale that way than you would, $100,000, $200,000 type of a debt situation. So if you're looking at something, less than $10,000 like you are, I would start shopping around some credit unions, some local banks, something like that, rather than the commercial banks, because the commercial bank's going to be looking for they want bigger dollar, bigger volume stuff.
Because they're going to get more. They're going to make money on it, of course.
Yeah, they're gonna eat you alive in fees and everything else. But it's not worth their time to sit here and deal with something that's less than $10,000. But that's what the credit unions, smaller banks,
shops are for. Yeah,
that's what they're going to thrive.
The loan sharks.
Yeah, your payday loan or credit loan, you probably don't want to do that.
I was thinking like
Guido.
Yeah,
Guido, you probably don't want to do that either.
Some really sweaty guy in like 4 floors under the street, partially in the sewer.
Yeah, the troll guy.
Yeah, he's 100% interest rate kind of guy.
Yeah, a week.
Yeah,
that's in a week. Yeah.
Well, no, I think that's a lot of good information, John. I appreciate it. I think that this would also be useful for some of our listeners too. I think a lot of people like to say that they don't have any debt, but I don't believe you.
Yeah,
I don't believe you.
Well, exactly.
I really don't.
Exactly. And the average, I don't know what it is recently, but last year, the average homeowner, had around $20,000-$25,000 worth of just credit card debt.
Not even just counting their mortgage or possible.
No, not just credit card debt.
Yeah, you can't. In thinking of hospital bills or stuff like that, or automobile loans, stuff like that too.
Exactly.
It's not just a mortgage. There's other things too. So
yeah, and that's the thing. The personal debt in this country has just gone crazy. It in the last year, overall debt has increased. So people are still living either off the credit card or living off of lines of credit.
Well, they know that they make these monthly payments so cheap that and eventually, like you're just compounding up the wrong way, where your monthly payment's $150 for something, and $120 of that was interest. So you're barely paying anything.
Oh, exactly. And we just remodeled our kitchen and everything, and so I had some of it we paid out of pocket, and some of it we did on a equity credit line, and I think it's like 3.5%. It's like, yeah, I'm going to pay it off, but I'm not in any big hurry.
Yeah, I mean, for that percentage, it's like, you're not in a big rush, and that's the same thing with like you had mentioned before, with how low these rates are on home mortgages and everything. It's like, you're going to pay it off. You're not paying the man a whole lot of money.
No, it was crazy the amount of interest that we're paying. And the other thing is even though it's on a home equity line of credit and it's potentially tax deductible, the rates are so low and the standard deduction anymore is so high that most people can't itemize. I think we used to do about 70% of our clients, our tax clients, were able to itemize. Now I think it's probably 25%.
Really?
Yeah. So and the ones that are able to normally are older, and it's because of nursing home expenses. So they've got medical expenses, but the nursing home expenses are what gets them over that amount, that standard deduction, because it's so expensive to stay in nursing homes. So if you are able to itemize, you're fairly old and you're not in very good shape, to be in a nursing home.
Did I itemize, John?
I know you're not in very good shape.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, gosh, I thought you just called me old for a minute.
Yes.
Jeez.
Well, it's better than calling me old.
I'll refrain for now. You just gave me some good info, so we're good.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we're
good.
even.
20 minutes, I think. We're good. Next 20 minutes.
Oh boy.
Well, Rem, anything to add on?
I mean, I just kind of let you two go because my debt is not terrible.
Is he saying he doesn't have debt?
No, I have debt, but
That's
it's
what
not.
I thought.
It's not terrible debt.
One of
I'm
those
not
guys.
drowning.
Okay, what's terrible? What's not terrible? You have some credit card?
Well, yeah, I've got like
80,000.
No, nowhere near that. I might have like 2,000 that I'm consistently paying off, and the house we just bought, we're doing fine on all that and making moves to profit off of that house. So, I mean, I'm in a position.
You're looking to sell it?
We still have a lot of work to do, so it's going to be a while. But I don't know. I think I'm in a position that not a lot of people my age might be in, where I'm not the best with my money, but I also don't make super stupid decisions with it.
Okay.
And
because of this show, right?
Yes, because of the show specifically. But my girlfriend also makes good money too. We're living in the same house, and we both monitor each other's spending to make sure we're not going out and buying things we don't really need. So don't have a whole lot of bad debt, I guess. So I don't know about this guy, but
no, I mean, most of mine, and I think a lot of people can speak to this too, is we just talked about it. You don't have a savings account.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really using your credit cards, but you get to that point of, before payday where you're like, oh, I got to put $40 in gas in my tank, put it on the credit card. And I did that for so long that I just didn't pay attention. I'm like, wow, now I got $2,000 credit card debt. And I'm like, why? And then it's the same cycle. So I'd get paid, I'd be like, all right, the monthly payment's $50. I'm going to pay $200.
Mm-hmm.
No savings.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to the cycle again.
Mm-hmm.
So I put another $150 on it, before the next paycheck because I don't have a savings account.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same cycle, I'll pay $200 on it again. And I did that for, several years. And then eventually I was like, wow, we started meeting with you and started doing these, the podcast and everything. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think I should probably have a savings account.
You should probably have a rainy day fund.
I should probably have a budget.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started, budgeting out, and I've been able to pretty much not use my credit cards at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of just been slowly paying them down, but I'm still, like I said, I'm still kind of high. So that's why I've kind of considered the consolidation is like, if I can put $7,000 into a consolidation, pay small interest on it, that might be useful.
And that's the thing. That's why I try to avoid spending any bonuses. I put it this way, not spending bonuses, but not putting the bonuses down on debt. Because if you've got a budget and you know what your budget is and you've got control of it, to me, when you get a bonus or you get a windfall of some money, I don't care.
Or even a raise or something.
Yeah, I don't care what it is, however, you get a lump sum of money that you weren't anticipating. It could be a gift from a family member or something, whatever that is. When you get to the point of you getting a lump sum, that is something that should be put aside and invested or saved. If you don't have a savings account for a rainy day or emergency fund, then put that over there. It's the same thing as I had a couple clients. One client in particular sold one of their toys and stuff and had about $8 or $10,000. And he said, where should I put that? Where can I put that to make some money? And I go, what are you talking about? What define make money? Okay. Well, I don't know. Just what do you think I could do? I said, there's a lot of things you could do. I said, you have to have a savings account. Nope, don't have any. So I said, well, I think
Now
that just
you
became
do.
your emergency fund.
Right.
Really? I never thought of that. Yeah, because we always have to go to credit card and everything to go buy everything. So, people get into a mode and they can't get out of it because they're just not thinking outside the box a little bit. So, if nothing else, you need to speak to someone or bounce some idea off or hear of something else. So hopefully we get a lot of things that we toss back and forth to each other here, and some things that as we go through our discussions and we're talking, things come up and it's like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. Well, what about this? Well, that was what I brought up to them, and they're like, oh, perfect. God, I'm glad we came in here, because they wanted me to put it in. Oh, let's see. Can I put half into crypto and the other part in gold? No, that's stupid.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing as if you get the bonuses or something, put those aside, whether it's on the savings if you need it or into the investment. And if you get them, don't put them down on the debt. You should have any debt structured into your, into your budget. Because if you've got that, you've got a budget, and it's like, oh, okay, so I did that. That's money that, if you're working, you've got a continuous flow of cash that's coming in. So the exit or the outflow of that cash should be on a budget. If you've got a bonus coming in and you do away with that, you'll never get that money back.
Yeah, I don't see the purpose. So if you know that you're living, $100 a week for food, that's your budget, $100 a week for food, and then you get a $7,500 raise at work. Why all of a sudden, you've lived like this for 5 years, why all of a sudden is your budget for food $200? Why is that the case?
Yeah.
It should not be that way.
No, it doesn't have to be, because if you're comfortable with where you're at now, and I don't care what you're making, X is what you're making, and you're comfortable, now you're comfortable plus.
Right.
Nobody's saying not to do anything.
You have a bit of a nest now.
But you sure don't need to sit there and allocate that whole $7,500 to expenditures that aren't going to be going into your pocket or on your side of the ledger. Utilizing that for food, or I'm going to upgrade my car, or I'm going to go buy this other, game console, or I'm going to do something. It's like, well, it's not productive use of the funds because you're not making anything. It's probably going to be on some type of a depreciating asset or an expense that you'll never get back anyway. So, it's hard enough to make what you're doing and then put money aside. To get a windfall and then just to turn around and go, well, put it out there. And then you come back a week later and go, geez, I wish I had some money. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, why'd you do that to yourself?
That happens every week. I run into somebody. Most of them, it's not clients anymore. They've been converted over, but it's other people that are asking for advice or something. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're just not even thinking. They're getting into this negative mode, and they just can't get out of it. That's it. I got to pay this off. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I can't do that because I don't have any money here. Then I have that, and I spend that money, and I got to do this. It's like, time out. It's
pull yourself out of the situation.
Yeah, you've got
to take a look at what you're dealing with.
Yeah, you've got to have a different way of looking at things. And like I said, you get into a mode and you think one way. You've got to get yourself out of that and just turn everything. I just look at everything just a quarter turn.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that look like?
Take a step
different.
back.
It's just a little bit different. What if I did this? And then try and think it through. But, that's why we're here, to hopefully give you some suggestions and stuff off of the
Make you
podcast.
think.
Get the wheels turning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gears spinning. Oiled up a bit.
So, use the noodle for once and think about what you're going to do,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How was that accent?
It's pretty good.
Pretty
bad,
good.
pretty bad.
I'm not sure what that was.
I
New
don't
York?
either. Nah. It was Lithuanian, I think, or something.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yeah, I've been there 100 times. I know how they talk.
Anyway.
Where can they email you, John?
You can email me. I'm glad you asked. jcindy@lifestagesadvisory.com. And
Well, I want to see if you can get it this time. We just did it.
Man.
What websites
I
are
don't
we
listen
on,
to
John?
you. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on, what was that other one?
We're on Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast, yeah. iHeartRadio, yes.
If you're on the YouTube, though, what can they do, John?
Oh, yes. You have to look below or to the side, whichever direction it is, and hit
the like button.
Like,
the
subscribe.
like button, subscribe button. Yes.
Comment if you have any questions for John. It can be related to what we just talked about. If you need help consolidating your debt, if you want some advice,
Yeah.
if you have a question about anything else too, you can let us know.
See, they keep quizzing me on this stuff. I'll get it right one of these days.
Yeah. Do you have a computer, John? Just wondering.
Cell
Cell phone?
phone? Does that have?
He still uses
that flip phone?
Use a typewriter.
He
don't
sends a
flip
messenger
phone.
pigeon to reach all his clients.
Yeah.
No, I hate you guys.
All right. Well,
Okay.
we can sit down after this and show you how to use the computer.
Oh, goody. Lucky me. Okay. Until next time, thanks a lot. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.